Hello. So this is world city name changes. So these are all world cities, and I have to name the former name of them. So some of them are just alternate spellings, but there are some that are completely different. So there are 75 of these in total. So without further ado, let us begin. So Ars is Ars with one A. Kind of boring, but they decided to add to be cool and add another A to it. Almaty was Alma-Ata, also very similar. Ashgabat was known as Poltronsk. Astana was briefly Nur Sultan, and before it was Astana the first time, it was Akmola, which is also the name of the region that Astana is in. Atlanta was Marthasville. Aurora was Fletcher. Austin was Waterloo. Bandersari Begawan was Brunei Town. Some people, you just wish that it was still that way. More people would guess what the capital of Brunei is, but such is life. Banjul was known as Bathurst. Beijing was known as Beiping, not Peking. Peking is the local name for it. Bengaluru was Bangalore. Bishkek was known as Frunz. Brazzaville was Nakuna. Bremerhaven was Westermund. Chattogram was Chittagong. Chemnitz was Karl Marxstadt. Chennai was Madras. Darwin was Palmerston. Dhaka was Dhaka, different spelling. Dnipropetrovsk. And then we have both Donetsk, Russia and Donetsk, Ukraine. Donetsk, Russia was Gundarovka. And then we'll go to page 2 because Varna, Bulgaria was Stalin. And then we have Donetsk, Ukraine was known as Stalino. Dushanbe, Tajikistan was known as Stalinabad, which is kind of funny. Florianopolis, Brazil was Nossa Senhora de Stero. And then this town in Austria was known by this name. You can clearly see why they changed it. Gaborone was known as Gaborone, similar name. Gdansk was Danzig. Gqeberha was Port Elizabeth. Guangzhou was Canton. Harare was Salisbury. Ho Chi Minh City was Saigon. Istanbul was Constantinople. And before that, it was Byzantium. Jaipura was Sukarnopura. Kaliningrad was Königsberg, just like Leonard Euler's Seven Bridges of Königsberg. That's where it comes from. Katowice, another Stalin, Stalinograd. And Kinshasa was Leopoldville. Kitchener was Berlin. And then Kolkata was Calcutta. La Plata was Ciudad Eva Perón. And then Londonderry was Derry. Malabar was Santa Isabel. Maputo was Lorenzo Marquez. Mexico City was Tenochtitlan. Mumbai was Bombay. And N'Djamena was Fort Lamy. New York was New Amsterdam. And Newcastle was Monkchester. Nizhny Novgorod was Gorky. Nuke was Godthaub. Orenburg was Chkalov. And now we're on page 2. And Oslo was Christiania. Ottawa was known as Bytown. And Perm, believe it or not, was known as Molotov. You wish it stayed that way, but it is permanently perm. Alright, moving on. Podgorica was Tito. Titograd. Pune was known as Pune, which is also the former name for badminton. I believe that's where it was invented. Royal Tunbridge Wells, just Tunbridge Wells. Interesting that they have that on this list and not Royal Leamington Spa or Royal Sutton Coldfields. San Francisco was Yerba Buena, which I believe is also the name of a different city in California. And Santo Domingo was Ciudad Trujillo. Seoul was Gyeongseong, which is also a different city in South Korea today. Shenyang was Fengtian. St. Petersburg was Leningrad. Tallinn was known as Revel. Tbilisi was Tiflis. Tokyo was Edo. Toronto was York. Truth or Consequences was Hot Springs. Tver was Kalinin, not Kaliningrad. Urumqi was Dihua. Utqiagvik was Barrow, the most northerly in U.S. Vancouver was Granville. And Volgograd was Stalingrad. And then Wrocław was Breslau. They have Wrocław and Breslau and Katowice, Stalinograd, but they don't have Stettin, which I think is more famous because Iron Curtain from Stettin to Trieste, but let's move on. Yangon was Rangoon, and Yekaterinburg was Sverdlovsk, just like the Oblast. And those are all of the ones on this list. There are a few famous ones that are not on this list, like Dubrovnik and Ragusa is not on this list, and as well as Ulaanbaatar and Urga. That's not on this list either, and I think they should be on this list. But yeah, these are the ones that are on the list, and that's all for now.